wabarakatuh. Good afternoon. My name is Safarina Adilla. Today I would like to tell about idiomatic expression. One of the most important aspects of language is idioms. They are frequently used in a wide variety of situations, from family conversation to more formal conversation and written context. Every language in the world has its own idioms. In English itself, idioms play an important role in everyday life. People often hear idioms every day in a daily conversation, on television, radio, magazine, newspaper, and etc. Instead of creating a new word, people use the words that already exist and unite them in a new meaning. I would like to tell you about what is idiom. Idiom is a phrase or sentence whose meaning is not clear from the meaning of its individual words, and which must be learned as a whole unit for intent. The idioms spill the beans mean to reveal secret information, especially without intending to do so. And there are three types of idioms. The first is the idiom derived from the verbs, and the idioms from adjective, and the idiom come from noun. The first is the idiom derived from verbs because the verb clause appended. Example, while doing his homework, he dropped off. The second, the idioms from adjective or participle because the adjective or participle are proposition appended. Example, are you going out tonight? You are such a party animal. And the last, the idiom come from noun because it is a preposition at the end. The example, we spent all afternoon looking for the dog, but we eventually found it safe and sound. Next, the explanation about each type of idiom as follows. The first is substitute. This type of idiom consists of personal pronouns and numeral such as the personal person, he, she, it, and they. The demonstrative this, that, and verb do. The second is proper name. It usually refers to name of people, places, animals, spirits, and vehicles that create new idioms. And the third, abbreviation, the use of part of a whole example of phone, which is a part of whole telephone. UNESCO, which stands for United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. And next, English phrasal compound. Compound itself means a noun, an adjective, or a verb that has been created from two or more simple words, and it's linked. The example, well-dressed, well-known, boyfriend. And figure of speech. The meaning of the words have a deep meaning, which is different from the surface meaning. The classification for figure of speech are hyperbole, little, oxymoron, and irony. And the last, slang. Slang can be defined as the use of informal words. Next slide is about the difficulties in translating idioms. The phrase or expression still might not have equality in the target language. One language can express the meaning given by one word. The other can express it with a transparent fixed expression, and the third can express it using idioms. Therefore, it is unrealistic to expect to find idioms and equivalent expression in a target language. Then, an idiom can be used in a short text, in a literal and idiomatic sense at the same time. And the last, the very convention of using idioms in written discourse. The context in which they can be used and their frequency use may be different in the search and target language. Okay, the examples. Common idiomatic expression and their meanings. The first, she was tickled pink by the good news, is the meaning made very happy. And the second, bring your umbrella, it's raining cats and dogs out there. Very hard rain. And the third, I feel sick as a dog, it's mean very sick. I was just pulling your bag, It's mean just joking. And we are all in the same boat. All of us are in the same position. And the last, I will clean my room when pigs fly. It means never. How to translate idioms? The first step is identify the idiom. Well, that sounds fairly obvious, but it's not always that easy. If you don't know the idiom in the question, then it can be hard. As a general rule of thumb, if you read the sentence in the short language and part of it doesn't make sense at all, then you are probably dealing with an idiom. They usually consist of random metaphors that bear no relation to the topic at all. In our article about a sport event, the winning athlete could be described as a being over the moon with their success. When booking accommodation, you may be warned, don't judge a book by its cover, even though you are looking at the hotel's notebooks. And when talking about how excited you are about your team winning in the cup, someone may reply with, don't count your chickens. And if you are not native English, you may find yourself wondering what on earth chickens have to do with anything. Of course, these are all examples of idioms, and thus they make no sense unless you are already familiar with the idioms. And the last step is find an equivalent idiom in the target language. The best way to translate an idiom is to find an equivalent idiom in the target language. The author of the search tag will have included the idiom for a reason, and it makes sense to try and follow their lead by incorporating a suitable equivalent into your translation. This is not always possible. However, sometimes there simply are not any suitable idioms in the target language. The idiom that you have stumbled across is basically untranslatable. In this instance, all you can do is to convey the meaning of the idiom, but it's better to get across the meaning than try to create an idiom where none does not exist. This proves that fact that even professional translators need to be provided with the contribution of translator studies such as those of the present study in order to improve their quality of translation. Translator must have mastery of pragmatic issue of the language involved in the process of translation, as well as linguistic issue. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. See you.